Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're exploring something pretty amazing, I think. It's about the universe and humanity's place in it, all the big questions, like just how much is out there and what does it all mean for us?
Big questions indeed.
Well, today, we'll try to get to the bottom of it all. We're going to journey through excerpts from Allan Kardec's The Gospel According to the Spirits to try to answer at least a few of these questions.
That's a great source for this kind of deep dive.
Yeah.
And speaking of big questions, it's interesting how Kardec took Jesus' words, "In my Father's house are many mansions."
Oh, yeah. What about that?
Well, he expanded on them in a fascinating way. I mean, he didn't see those mansions as actual rooms.
Ew.
No, he saw them as representations of something much grander, like the vast number of worlds in the universe.
That is a pretty wild interpretation. It makes you realize how much our understanding of the universe has, well, expanded since those biblical times. But if there are all these different worlds out there, what are they like? And where does our little Earth fit in this whole grand cosmic picture?
Good questions. Well, Kardec suggested that each world is like a stepping stone for souls on their path to spiritual perfection. He even categorized these worlds, starting with primitive worlds, and then worlds of trial and expiation, which is where we are now on Earth. And then it goes up from there to regenerative worlds, happy worlds, and finally heavenly or divine worlds.
Wow. So it's like a ladder with each rung representing a different level of spiritual development. That's pretty intense to think about.
It is.
Oh, wait, even before we get into the specifics of these worlds, Kardec talks about something called the errant state, right?
Yes, he does.
Can you maybe explain what he meant by that?
Yeah, sure. So the errant state is essentially the period between our physical lives, like when we die.
Okay.
Kardec believed that even in this in-between state, souls don't just vanish. They exist in various conditions, and it depends on their level of purification. So imagine you just finished one life,
Yeah.
and you're getting ready for the next one.
Okay.
The conditions you experience in this errant state, they actually depend on how far along you are on your spiritual journey.
Oh, so it's like graduating from one level to the next, even when you don't have a physical body.
Exactly. It's a continuous process.
Okay, so even between lives, we're not just floating around in some empty void. There's a whole system of progression going on.
That's how Kardec saw it.
That's pretty wild. It definitely makes you think. But let's talk about those less evolved worlds for a minute. What would it actually be like to exist on one of those?
Well, Kardec describes them as pretty basic.
Yeah.
I mean, the beings on these primitive worlds, they have a human form. Kind of rudimentary, though.
Okay.
They lack that refinement, that beauty we see in humans today.
I see.
So think of them as more driven by their basic instincts, and brute force. They have a very limited understanding of things like morality or compassion.
So it's almost like a constant struggle for survival, a very primal existence.
Yeah, you could say that.
But even in those harsh conditions, Kardec suggests that there's still some hope, right? Like these beings, even they have a sense of something bigger than themselves, like a higher power.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about an innate intuition of a supreme being, even if they haven't yet developed more refined, more spiritual concepts.
That's really interesting.
Like that spark of divinity, it's present in all beings.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they are in their development.
I like that. It's a very hopeful thought, right? It's like saying everyone, no matter how primitive, has that potential to evolve and to grow spiritually.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey we all share.
Okay, well, enough about those rough and tumble worlds for now. Let's jump to the other end of the spectrum. What about those highly evolved worlds? The ones Kardec described.
Now, those are truly fascinating.
Oh.
He described them as almost ethereal. Like the beings on these advanced worlds, their bodies are light and agile, almost as if they can fly.
Wow.
And their senses so heightened, they perceive things we can only imagine.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Like something out of a sci-fi movie, but with a spiritual twist.
It does, doesn't it?
And what really struck me was his description of them as having no suffering.
Right.
None at all. It makes you wonder if suffering is tied to our imperfections. Does that mean that these beings have reached a state of almost perfection?
Well, that's a great question. You see, Kardec believed that suffering was linked to our imperfections, our struggles with material desires and our egos. And he thought that on these highly evolved worlds, the beings there, they have overcome those imperfections. So their lives are filled with love and fraternity and intellectual pursuits. They're driven by a pure desire for knowledge and understanding.
It sounds almost like a utopia, a world where everything is in perfect harmony. But it makes me wonder, if these amazing worlds exist, why haven't we made contact with them? Why are we stuck here on Earth, dealing with all of its problems and imperfections, you know?
That's a great question and leads us to the very intriguing question of Earth's place in this whole cosmic hierarchy. You see, Kardec categorized Earth as a world of trial and expiation, which basically means that all the suffering and the challenges that we face here, they're all related to our level of spiritual development.
Oh, I see. So Earth is like a cosmic boot camp. We're here to face our flaws head-on and learn from all our mistakes.
You could put it that way. Yes, the challenges we face here, both individually and as a society, they're meant to, well, to push us towards growth, towards compassion, and ultimately to a much deeper understanding of, well, of ourselves and the universe.
But hold on, you also mentioned that some souls are actually exiled to Earth from more advanced worlds, right? So are you saying that some of us are actually here as a way to learn and evolve?
Exactly. Kardec suggested that some souls come to Earth specifically for that, to learn, to progress. Perhaps because they need to face very specific challenges or develop certain qualities. It's almost like school.
Okay.
With different levels of learning. And some students need to repeat a grade or two, you know.
That's a fascinating way to look at it. It really makes you think about all the different souls we encounter in life, right? Some might be like way ahead of us spiritually, while others are still, working through their lessons.
It's true. Earth is a mix of all of them. A melting pot of souls at different stages of development, all interacting and learning from each other. But this raises another interesting point. Is Earth stuck in this state of trial and expiation forever?
Now, that's a big question. Is there any hope for us, for Earth?
Well, Kardec actually had a very hopeful vision for Earth's future. He introduced this concept of regenerative worlds, which he saw as kind of like halfway points between the trials of Earth and the bliss of those more advanced worlds.
So these regenerative worlds are like cosmic pit stops where souls can kind of catch their breath and prepare for even greater spiritual heights.
You could see it that way, yes. Imagine a world where suffering has given way to understanding and peace and harmony are just the norm.
That sounds pretty nice, like a much better version of Earth. But even in these regenerative worlds, I guess souls still need to keep progressing, right? They don't just reach some kind of state of perfection and just stop there, do they?
No, that's right. Kardec believed that stagnation is never an option, that even in those peaceful worlds, souls still need to keep striving for greater understanding and purification, just to avoid slipping back into a state of expiation.
Wow, this whole concept of a cosmic hierarchy, the progression of worlds, it's pretty mind-blowing. It really makes you reconsider everything, our place in the grand scheme of things.
It does, doesn't it?
But before we go too far down that road, let's dive a bit deeper into Kardec's description of Earth as this world of trial and expiation, because I think that's where we are right now, and understanding that is crucial for all of us.
It is crucial. It's the foundation for understanding where we go next, I think. So to really grasp Earth's its purpose, it's this world of trial and expiation. We really need to think about it like as a place where souls come to learn, to evolve, really, by facing these, challenges and hardships sometimes.
It's almost like a cosmic classroom, where those real life experiences, even the messy ones, even the difficult ones, they actually become our teachers.
Yes, exactly. Those lessons can be tough though, can't they?
Yeah.
We make mistakes, we're faced with temptations, and sometimes we hurt ourselves, we hurt others.
It definitely feels like we're constantly being tested, doesn't it?
It's true.
Yeah.
But Kardec, he emphasizes that even in those moments, when we fail, there's still that chance to learn and to grow from it. It's through those weaknesses, those missteps, that we actually, we move forward on our spiritual journey.
So it's those very mistakes that can actually help us grow spiritually.
You can.
Well, that's a bit of a relief. I've made a few.
Think of them as fertilizer for your spiritual growth. And remember, you're not alone in all of this.
Okay.
Kardec believed we have guides, mentors, even in that spiritual realm, who have already, walked this path and can offer guidance and support.
That's really comforting. Sometimes those challenges, they just feel so overwhelming. So it's nice to know that there's a support system out there, even if we can't, see it.
They're always there.
But what about those people who just seem to sail through life without any hardship, you know? Are they somehow exempt from this trial and expiation thing?
Well, not necessarily. Kardec, he believed that everyone's journey is unique. You know, some souls may have already worked through many of their imperfections in past lives. So their current life, their current incarnation might be more about, you know, refining certain qualities or maybe focusing on a specific mission.
Oh, so it's not always about facing those huge obstacles or like the intense suffering.
Right. Sometimes the lessons are much more subtle. You know, they're learned through those everyday experiences. And it's important to remember too, material wealth, success, those things don't necessarily equal spiritual advancement.
That's a good point. You know, sometimes we think of success in those very material terms.
We do.
But maybe it's not that simple.
It isn't. In fact, you know, those who have an easy life, maybe they'll face even bigger challenges later.
Really?
Because they haven't developed that resilience, that strength. That comes from overcoming adversity.
That's an interesting perspective. It kind of challenges our usual ideas about success and happiness even.
It does.
But if Earth really is a place for, you know, for working through all of our imperfections, why is there so much injustice?
That's a good question.
Why do innocent people suffer? It doesn't seem fair.
Well, that's a question that's troubled people for ages, hasn't it? And Kardec, he doesn't offer those, you know, those easy answers.
Right.
But he does provide some insights.
Okay.
He reminds us that we have a very limited human perspective. We just can't fully grasp those complexities, you know, of a soul's journey, or even the workings of divine justice.
So it's almost like we're trying to understand a huge tapestry, but we're only looking at one tiny little thread.
Exactly. We just can't see that whole picture from our limited point of view.
Right. We don't have all the pieces.
Kardec suggests that what seems random, you know, or even unfair to us, it could actually be part of a much larger a cosmic balancing act that plays out over multiple lifetimes even.
It's like those moments in a movie, you know,
right,
where a character, it seems like they're being treated unfairly, but later you realize it was all part of the plot. Like it was essential. So we just need to trust. You know, trust that there's a bigger story unfolding, even if we don't have all those pieces yet.
Yes, it highlights the importance of faith and trust, especially when we're faced with those difficult times.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Kardec also believed that suffering, even when it seems, you know, undeserved, it can still have a purpose.
Okay.
It can awaken compassion. It can awaken empathy and inspire us to make the world a better place.
It's like going through those tough experiences. It can actually make us stronger,
more resilient.
Yeah.
Right.
We might not understand why things happen, but we can always choose how we respond.
Yes, we can.
We can let those things break us, or we can let them make us stronger, make us more compassionate.
That's the key. It brings us back to personal responsibility and the power of choice. Even when we're facing suffering, we can still choose how we respond.
This deep dive has been amazing. I mean, we've explored so much, you know, the vastness of the cosmos, this whole hierarchy of worlds, the idea of spiritual evolution, Earth's role as a world of learning and growth through those challenges.
It's been a journey, hasn't it? Makes you think.
It really does, and it's incredibly inspiring to realize that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
We are.
But before we get too lost, you know, in the vastness of it all, let's come back to those regenerative worlds.
Yes.
that Kardec talked about. You mentioned that there are like halfway points, you know, between the challenges we have here on Earth and the bliss of those more advanced worlds. What are they actually like?
Well, they're fascinating. They offer this glimpse of what Earth could become as it progresses spiritually. You know, imagine a world where suffering has just given way to understanding, where peace and harmony just prevail.
It sounds almost like a utopia, a place where those ideals, love, compassion, and justice, they just become reality.
In a way, yes, but it's important to remember too that even in these regenerative worlds, you know, that growth, that evolution, it still continues. It's not like a static state of perfection.
Okay.
It's more like an ongoing process of learning and refinement.
So it's not about reaching a final destination. It's more like this continuous journey
Right.
of evolution and expansion.
Exactly, and that's what makes Kardec's vision so compelling. I think it offers a guide, not just for individual growth,
Yes.
but for the evolution of entire worlds.
I really like how Kardec's, his idea, they connect our individual choices with that bigger picture. It's like our actions, they don't just impact, ourselves, they impact the world around us. It's beautiful, but it's empowering.
It is. It highlights the interconnectedness of all things. The idea that we're all part of this grand cosmic tapestry.
Yeah.
Each thread playing a vital role in the overall design.
This has been such an incredible journey, full of fascinating insights and just really thought-provoking concepts. It's humbling, to think about our place within this vast cosmic hierarchy. But it's also really empowering to realize that we have a part to play in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also work really does provide that framework for understanding,
Yeah.
Not only our place in the universe,
Right.
but also the meaning, the purpose of our individual lives.
It's not just about understanding the cosmos, is it?
No, it's not.
It's about understanding ourselves, our motivations, our choices, and ultimately our potential for growth and transformation.
Exactly.
Now, as we move forward,
Yeah.
I'm curious about something.
What's that?
Well, Kardec paints such a vivid picture of these different types of worlds, from the primitive, to the highly evolved. But are those categories fixed? Is there any fluidity between them? Could a primitive world, could it eventually, evolve into a world of trial and expiation, and then even, into a regenerative world?
That's an excellent question. Well, Kardec doesn't directly address that specific point.
Yeah.
Based on his overall framework, I'd say there's likely a degree of fluidity there.
Okay.
Remember, progress is a fundamental law of the universe, and worlds, they're just like souls. They're in this constant state of evolution.
So it's not a rigid system. It's more like a dynamic dance, a dance of growth and transformation.
Exactly, and that opens up so many fascinating possibilities. Imagine a world, once just shrouded in darkness and suffering,
Right.
gradually awakening to the light. Its inhabitants evolving into beings of compassion and understanding.
It's like a cosmic redemption story.
It is.
And it really speaks to that incredible potential for growth, for transformation that just exists within all of creation.
And that's a beautiful thought to hold on to.
It really is. It makes me wonder, if Earth really is on this path to becoming a regenerative world, what can we do to help, to contribute to that transformation? What choices can we make today?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
And maybe a topic for another deep dive. But for now.
I think a whole deep dive on that would be amazing, actually. But before we wrap up this one, I wanna touch on one more thing that really fascinates me, about Kardec's vision. He suggests that individual souls, they can actually journey between these different types of worlds. It's not like we're stuck on one planet forever, are we?
That's right. He believed that as we progress spiritually, we essentially graduate. We move to worlds that better align with our level of advancement. It's kind of like moving up through grades in school.
Okay.
Each level offers those new challenges, new chances for growth.
Oh, I see. So being sent to a less evolved world, it's not really a punishment, is it? It's more like an opportunity to help those who are still in those earlier stages of development.
That's a good way to look at it.
Like a cosmic exchange program.
Almost, yeah. And it really does, it underscores that the key element of Kardec's thinking.
Yeah.
That interconnectedness of all souls is like we're not isolated individuals. We're part of this vast spiritual network.
Yeah.
We're all working towards that common goal, even if we're not not always conscious of it.
It's like we're all these pieces of a giant puzzle, and each piece is necessary to complete that picture.
That's a great way to put it.
But if we're constantly moving between worlds, does that mean we eventually just lose our connection to Earth?
Not necessarily, no. Kardec, he suggests that as we progress, we actually develop a much deeper understanding, a deeper appreciation for all those levels of existence.
Okay.
So we might not be, physically tied to Earth, but we keep that spiritual connection.
Yeah.
A sense of gratitude for the lessons learned and the growth we experienced here.
Oh, that's nice. That's a comforting thought. It's almost like, like graduating from college. You might move on to a new chapter in life, but you still cherish those memories, those friendships you made there. You don't just forget about it all.
No, you don't. Exactly. Those connections, they continue to enrich our lives, even as we embark on those new adventures and face those new challenges.
This whole conversation has really shifted my perspective on life, on the universe, on everything.
Pretty amazing stuff, isn't it?
It is. It's humbling to think about our place, in this vast cosmic order. But it's also incredibly empowering to realize that we have this role to play in the grand scheme of things.
And we do. Kardec's work really gives us this amazing framework for understanding, not only our place in the universe, but also the meaning, the purpose of our individual lives.
It's not just about understanding the cosmos, is it? It's about understanding ourselves.
Exactly.
Our motivations, our choices, and ultimately our potential, for growth and transformation.
That's what it all comes down to.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. If we are, as Kardec suggests, all on this journey of spiritual progression, moving between worlds as we learn, as we evolve, what kind of world do you want to help create? For yourself and for others, what choices can you make today to move closer to that vision?
That's a powerful question. A question that each of us we have to answer for ourselves. But Kardec's work, it offers a valuable guide. It reminds us that the path to true happiness, to fulfillment, it lies in cultivating love, cultivating compassion and understanding, both for ourselves and for all beings, really.
That's beautifully said. And on that note, it's time to bring this deep dive to a close. But remember, the conversation doesn't have to end here. We encourage you to keep exploring, Kardec's work and reflecting on these profound questions it raises. So until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep striving to create a world where love and understanding, where they flourish.